On a numbers game, the right data changes everything, and the data behind Shopify is hard to argue with. Millions of businesses worldwide run on it, including our own VSiN store. When we launched, Shopify's templates and AI tools got us live fast. Professional looking from day one. No tech background needed. Shopify checkout converts more customers and makes it easy for returning fans to come back and buy again in a single click. Shopify's built-in AI assistant Sidekick is there whenever you need help, building, troubleshooting, or just figuring out your next move. Check out what we built at vsin.com/store. Then go build something of your own. All you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. That's shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
No, I am not Gil Alexander. Dustin Swedelson filling in for Gil all week here on a numbers game alongside the great Kelley Bydlon. The Bearded Brothers back together, better than ever. On one of my favorite days of the year on the sports calendar, I think about as a kid, Ken Griffey Jr., Camden Yards, off the warehouse in right field. Like that, to me, was the beginning of the obsession with the home run derby.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
That's what we get tonight. We get the home run derby. And to help us now break it down, we'll do a deep dive a little bit later on in the program in about 15 minutes. But to help us break it down is a guy who's performed in a couple of these and knows how difficult it is, because you think going in it's going to go one way, can go the other, and there could be a surprise winner along the way. He is Bret Boone, former big leaguer, played a long time in Major League Baseball, 3-time All-Star, 4-time Golden Glove Award winner, 2-time Silver Slugger, over 250 home runs in his career. He's also got the Bret Boone podcast available wherever you get your podcast, and he joins us now here on A Numbers Game. So talk to me about this, Bret, because the mentality of the player, you want to shine, you have this golden opportunity where there's 8 guys in this event this year. You were in 2001. Luis Gonzalez won that in a year where you had 37 home runs to finish the year, 141 ribbies. And then 03 in the event when Garrett Anderson won, and a season where you hit 35 home runs in that season. But it didn't necessarily correlate to the home run derby, right? Just because you're good in the games doesn't mean it happens in the derby. So help us understand the mentality for the players today performing.
All right. First of all, there are so many variables when it comes to this home run derby. And back when I was doing it, I think that the players today are just much more aware, much more prepared. They actually work on home run derby. They have their pitcher is pre-planned. They know who's throwing to them. They've got everything lined up. I'm just assuming. I think they're just much more on top of things than we were. They go into it and they know what it is. 2001, I get invited to my first home run derby. It happens to be at my home field, Safeco at the time. I'm a kid in a candy shop. I'm thinking, that you have certain moments throughout your career. And my first home run derby, I'm like, heck yeah, I want to do it. It's an honor that I got to get invited with all these big sluggers. It's at my home field. I didn't prepare at all. And the one thing for us as hitters is normally when we're on the field hitting, we're hitting with that shell. We've got the cage over us. When you hit batting practice for the first time without a cage, it's different. It's a different feeling. It's a big open space. We're used to doing it in the game time when the pitcher's 60 feet away. But when you got a BP pitcher 40, 45 feet and you don't have the shell and it's obviously batting practice, it's a different animal. That being said, I go into it, and my thought was, whatever you do, don't embarrass yourself. You're at home. I didn't have any aspirations of winning. I could care less. I just wanted to save face, hit a couple home runs, let the crowd cheer, and move on. If I got on a roll, great. And I was competitive, great. But I didn't care about that. I just thought putting on a good show. Back then, the rules were different. It was 3 outs. The BP pitcher was essential. I happened to have mine, John McLaren, who was through batting practice to me every day that year in Seattle. So I knew he was a veteran. He wasn't going to get nervous. He was going to throw strikes. He did. And I hit 3. I hit a couple in the upper deck, got some cheers, did okay. Sammy Sosa hit 3. He was on the National League side that year. The rules back then were if you tie your competitor, they go to the tape. So they say, all right, who's got the most homers at the break? Well, Sammy had 29, 30, I forget. I had 22 or 24. Oh. So he moved on. Now, in my mind, you think I'd be heartbroken. No, I hit a couple balls in the upper deck. I got the greatest standing ovation ever. I'm good. I have no problem with it. Right. The crowd went crazy. They got pissed because I was the hometown guy. Move on. That being said, great experience for me. Now you go to round 2, 2003, Chicago. I don't prepare at all. I'm winging it at this point. I get my flight to Chicago, and I kind of start thinking about it. Like, I've got a home run derby. I don't have John McLaren. All right, I got to get Johnny here. I called Johnny late. Can you fly to Chicago? I'll take care of you and your family, put you up. I need you to throw BP. He said, Booney, I'm getting on a flight. We're going to Hawaii for the break. Okay, whatever. Good buddy of mine is at the Derby. He's doing some press there. Dave Valley, who was a teammate of mine. Everybody raves about him. Jason Giambi tells me, who was in that home run derby, says, Booney, hey, Valley throws great BP. Well, come to find out, he throws great BP for a lefty. He's got a cutter. So I go out and I said, Val, let's warm up a little bit. Let's see if we have a cohesiveness, because that BP pitcher is important. He's cutting everything. I'm hitting rollover grounders. I said, this isn't going to work. I'm scrambling. Anyway, push comes to shove. I go out. I hit 0. I'm humiliated. I've never thought something like that. You could feel so bad. I heard it the whole second half of the season. My teammates ribbed me about it. And I just came up with an answer to any teammate that had something to say about it. I said, listen, try getting invited to one before you have a strong opinion. And we moved on from there. But it's like I said, that was back then. That was my experience. I was never a BP guy that would sit there and launch ball after ball. There are guys that can do it. I've had teammates that home run derby. I got some numbers you can call for some guys from my time. But I think that's what it comes down to. I think the rules have changed. I think it's more exciting. You get more swings. The pitcher's not as important. They've moved closer to the hitter. It's almost soft toss now. It's a show. And that's what the fans want. But I think you'd have to ask the guys. Only the guys on the field right now know who the guys that are really good in BP and can launch. Because they're known. You hit with them every day at the before games, and you know who are the big guys. So as far as picking somebody, I don't know who to pick. I mean, all these kids today are so talented, so strong that anybody could win. But it's a matter of who prepared the most, and when that time comes, who can just sit there, lock in, and hit homer after homer after homer.
Bret Boone is our guest. 14 years Major League Baseball, 3-time All-Star, 252 career home runs. And I said this last time I had you on the night show here on VSiN, the best right-handed bat flipper that ever was. Nobody ever flipped a bat better than Bret Boone after a home run. I vividly remember it. I copied it when I played slow pitch softball. That was the key. If I knew I had a no-doubter, I flipped it like Bret Boone from the right side. I know you said it's tough to pick one. I just want your opinion on these guys. If you could just choose one name that stands out to you tonight, I'll list them off right now.
Give me the list.
Schwarber, Kyle Schwarber's the favorite, 3-1. Junior Caminero from Tampa Bay is plus 425. Murakami from the White Sox is 5-1. Jack Caglione from the Royals is 7-1. Jordan Walker is 8-1 from St. Louis. Bryce Harper, home field advantage, 8-1. Ben Rice from the Yankees, 8.5-1. And Wilson Contreras from the Red Sox is 14-1.
I like 2. Okay, I think for me, I'm taking Schwarber.
Yeah.
I'm taking Schwarber out of the gate, I think, and he's the favorite for a reason. I like Caminero from the Tampa Bay Rays, but my dark horse would be Caglione, the Kansas City Royals. There you go.
You know what? We're going to get into why that is a very, very sharp play in our next segment, because looking at I'm not a big advanced analytics guy here, but I did ask them, look into some of the data here, Bret. Caglione, in terms of hitting the ball hard and launch angle, and he's the young buck among this group, that does feel like a good angle for him tonight in the home run derby. All right, before we let you go, we got about 3 minutes left in the segment, though, Bret. I want to get your opinion on some stuff in Major League Baseball. Most notably, obviously, you're very aware of the New York Yankees and what's going on with them. Aaron Judge is out, but Cam Schlittler, he's the favorite for Cy Young. They have a lot on the line this year with a chance to represent the American League. They're still chasing down Tampa Bay. Right now, your top wild card team, 3 games back of the Rays. What do you envision for the Bronx Bombers here in the second half?
Well, I think the Yankees got off to a great start. First of all, look at the American League. It's one of the craziest years since I've been on this side, the media side. I've never seen more mediocre play than I have in the American League. And usually when you go on a trip, you say, oh, we got a tough road trip, or we've got a road trip where we can make some hay. I think you look at the American League, and everywhere you go, everybody's like, okay. There's not we got to go through it. It's going to be a tough series. We got to go through Boston. And then it's like Tampa Bay's been good from start to finish. The Yankees, without this recent 3 weeks, have been really good. They're starting to play a little bit better. But you look around, Chicago's better. I think Chicago's a feel-good story from a year ago. Mm-hmm. How they've been the doormat for a few years. All of a sudden, they got some young youth just kind of interjected into that city. They're playing great. Cleveland's always a tough team. Minnesota's tough. Detroit can pitch. Seattle, I thought, was going to run away with the West. And I thought, for me, on paper, before the season started, Seattle Mariners were the best team in the American League for me. They've been very disappointing to this point. That whole West is kind of a mediocre division. So it's very strange. I mean, who's going to make a move? What's strange about it is how everybody's just playing pretty average. But what's great about it, I think, from a fan's perspective is, man, the parity's pretty damn good here. You're sitting at the All-Star break, and if I had to, I can only eliminate 3 teams right now. It's the A's, Kansas City, and the Angels. I look at everybody else, and it's like, you're in this. You know, everybody's talking about the deadline and Scooble, and you hear this and that. Like, wait a minute. Everybody's right here. These next 2.5 weeks, as players, we're in that room going, let's put some pressure on our ownership to buy, not sell. And that's who the onus is on. Now, I think after the break, you play another 10 games, you're going to start to shape up and see who the buyers are, who the sellers are. But this is an important time. I think as far as your question about the Yankees, I still think they're really good. The best hitter on the planet, Aaron Judge, has been on the shelf for a while. Stanton hasn't played. But I think you've got that core pitching staff. Cole, you got Fried coming back, Rodon coming back, possibly Schmidt. I think they're tough. They're going to go out and get bullpen help at the break.
Brett,
or at the deadline.
Brett, thank you so much for doing that. This is exactly what we needed. The Bret Boone Podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. We will do more on the Home Run Derby. I've got one guy locked in tonight in my bets. Can we find a second?
You're here because you want an edge. That's what separates listeners from winners. But let's be real, mindset alone doesn't get bets home. Pros win because they've got the tools, the data, and the discipline. And now so can you. VSiN Pro gives you access to the same real-time insights the sharps use. No secrets, no fluff, just actionable info that moves markets. Tap the link and see why serious bettors are turning knowledge into profit with VSiN Pro. On a numbers game, the right data changes everything, and the data behind Shopify is hard to argue with. Millions of businesses worldwide run on it, including our own VSiN store. When we launched, Shopify's templates and AI tools got us live fast. Professional looking from day one. No tech background needed. Shopify Checkout converts more customers and makes it easy for returning fans to come back and buy again in a single click. Shopify's built-in AI assistant Sidekick is there whenever you need help, building, troubleshooting, or just figuring out your next move. Check out what we built at vsin.com/store. Then go build something of your own. All you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. That's shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Dustin Swedelson in here for Gil Alexander all week long on a numbers game alongside Kelley, Bydlon. Thanks to Bret Boone for joining us last segment. Kelley and I were talking during the break, like, I think I could have done an hour with Bret Boone just on the Derby stories, just because he's like, I didn't care. I winged it. I wanted to put on a show. I didn't remember the rules where he kind of got screwed because he tied Sosa, but Sosa had more home runs in the regular season, so he advanced. It just goes to show you.
What a garbage tiebreaker.
But even with, we're going to get into the rule changes for the Derby tonight, but even with these rule changes, like, it's still not like a real regulated event here. It is very much an exhibition. So when you're betting on these things, I feel like you always have to go in like, okay, I understand I want to win some money.
Yeah.
I understand I think I have a really good angle. But also you have to understand that it doesn't make any sense and it's not all that real for these guys. He literally forgot to have a pitcher for his second home run derby appearance in 03 and just started calling people on the plane. Like that, now it's a bit different now. These guys are locked in, and I went through and I looked at who the pitchers are for these guys. Some are, there's dads making their debuts with Ben Rice.
But it's even like, it was interesting to hear Bret bring that up, because I feel like that's where the conversation around strategy from both betting and just a participation standpoint in this event has changed. I feel like over the past 5-6 years, where the conversation about the pitchers has gotten so much more.
But they wanted to eliminate that. And I think this is apropos. I think this was the smart move, because it became all about endurance. It became all about those pitchers throwing as quick as they could.
Right.
And then as a viewer, you lose the viewing experience because you're not seeing the next swing as we're watching the previous hit go towards the fences. And is it going to make it over? You just kind of lost the feel for what this is supposed to be. So here's how they changed the rules for this year. There is no longer a timer. There is no longer outs. Round one will feature 20 swings from all 8 of these players. So they step up. They will choose which pitches they like. They'll be able to take pitches. I don't imagine it's going to be like Nate Robinson in the dunk contest where they start to engage and then they go, you know what? I don't like this dunk. I'm going to start over here. I do think we're going to get through it at a pretty good pace, even with it being 20 swings. The top 4 will advance from round number 1. Round number 2 is the semifinals. The semis and the finals, 4 players advance from these rounds, or from the first round. And it'll be 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, 15 swings per player for each round. There's also a rule here. If you hit a home run on your last swing in any round, you shoot till you miss.
Yeah.
You keep swinging until you don't hit a homer. There's no bonus round. There is no bracket for the first round. Tiebreakers will be home run distance in round 1. And then in rounds 2 and 3, a 3-swing swing-off for those to decide who ultimately wins this. Now, the rules may have changed, but I do always like to go back and look, because the rules are always changing for this event, to see who's won recently. If there's anything we can extrapolate from that information. So
wait, real quick. They're always changing. You're right. How do you feel about these overall?
I think this is fine. This
I
is
think
good.
so, too. I actually think so, too.
I think the idea of asking a 67-year-old batting practice coach or someone's father who hasn't thrown to have to, strategize throwing strikes with everyone watching, you're putting so much pressure on it with the time constraints. I thought it was completely unfair, and we didn't get proper results because of it.
Now, what's the only thing I'm missing here, what's the difference between swings and outs? I mean, you have the same thing, right? You don't have to swing.
Well, no, because it counted down from outs. You had a certain number of outs.
Right.
And you'd be ruled out.
But that's only if you put it in play and it wasn't a home run.
Yeah,
right?
but you're on the time constraints with that.
Yeah.
So you had a certain number of outs competing with the clock.
With the clock, yeah.
So this is no clock, 20 swings. I believe there's no clock. I didn't see anything about a clock.
No time. Yeah, no time.
They can take as many as they want. So here's how it went last year. Cal Raleigh won a season ago. How many home runs did he have at the All-Star break? Does that matter? Let's find out. He had 38 last year at the All-Star break. In 2024, Teoscar Hernandez won. He had 19 at the All-Star break. Vlad Guerrero, prior to that, won this contest. He had 13 at the break. 2022, it was Juan Soto. In 2021, Pete Alonso won. He went back-to-back because there was no event in 2020. He also won in 2019. Back in 2018, Bryce Harper won the event. Aaron Judge in 17. Giancarlo Stanton in 16. Todd Frazier back in 2015. So what does that tell us? That's the last 10 years of data. We've had 9 unique winners, I should say, right? Raleigh, Teoscar, Vlad, Juan, Alonso, Bryce, Judge, Giancarlo, and Todd Frazier. That is 9 unique winners. 7 righties to 2 lefties. 1 switch hitter with Cal Raleigh. 7 of the 10 were from the National League. And the average home runs at the All-Star break for these guys, about 23.5. The low was 13 with Vlad Guerrero Jr. The high was 38 with Raleigh a year ago. 3 winners at 30 plus at the break, 4 winners at 20 to 29, 3 were under 20 at the break. What does that tell you? The thing that I put out there, the hypothesis, wondering how much it impacts it, it does not impact it at all. How many home runs you have at the break. But I think the righty-lefty thing is interesting. The NL-AL thing, I know that that's kind of like flip of the coin, but it is interesting that it's 7-3 in one direction.
I don't know. It just feels like AL-NL's that's a bit randomish, and the righty-lefty.
Here's why righty's weird. Most of these guys that we're going to see throwing are righties. Theoretically, that should benefit a left-handed hitter with the ball coming in and wanting to pull it. But it's actually benefited these guys who are hitting from the right side, which doesn't really make sense. It's mostly been right-handed pitchers.
No, you're right. I guess I would like to know what the split is of righty and lefty hitters over that 10 years, 20-year span too, right? It could be close to matching that.
Speaking of righty-lefties, lefties benefit from Citizens Bank Park. So looking at the ballpark factors here, ballparkpal.com assists us here with the research. A little bit shorter down the line in right field, 330 to right versus 334 in left. The Alloway in right center, 369 versus 374, about 5 feet there from right center to left center is a difference. And the deepest part of the ballpark, dead center is slightly to the left at 409. You go slightly to the right, it's 398. That could be the elixir here that gives the left-handed bats an advantage, because if they're going up the middle and deep, they have a better chance of going yard than a righty does if they go up the middle and pull it just slightly. So that's the ballpark here. As far as the contestants are concerned, here's what I looked at ballparkpal.com in terms of expected home runs for the event that they project, launch angle, average distance, and average exit mile per hour on their home runs this year.
Yes, it's great.
And a lot of this jumped out to me. So Schwarber's your favorite at plus 325. I think it makes all the sense in the world. He is a slow pitch softball player playing Major League Baseball. That is what he does. And at 325, I don't know if I want to bet it. I kind of want to do because it feels like the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
But we've seen so many times these events where the favorite shows up, it seems so obvious, and it doesn't work out in the end. The number 2 shot on the board, Junior Caminero. And I love Junior Caminero. I actually had him in last year's event. I think it's 7-1, and he put on a show. But right-handed hitters in this contest, that concerns me just a little bit for him. The guys that jumped out to me from a number standpoint when I dove into this data, Kelley, Munetaka Murakami. I love him. You look at the launch angle, well, he's by far number 1, because what does he do in the regular season? He either hits home runs or he hits singles. That's pretty much all he does. Like, he doesn't do much else. And at the launch angle he has and the average exit velocity at 106.7, that is number 2 on the board. That's why I'm locking in Murakami. He is the number 1 guy that I am betting tonight in the home run derby. I got 5-1. Last night it was plus 550. I need to find a second guy, but I love Murakami also to go over 9.5 home runs in the first round. That is even money in the market.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be with you on this one. We were talking about a little bit before the show, kind of ones we were eyeing here before. Look, this is very much an NBA three-point contest for me. I'm going to take a couple of these guys, have some fun with it tonight.
It's an educated dart throw.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
You can use all the data you want. And Wilson Contreras can wind up winning this thing at 13-1. Who knows?
And I want to get through the rest of this because you put together some amazing stuff here. But this is one of the things that Mark Borchardt recommended last week, which I think this makes a lot of sense. This is similar to how I kind of do three-point contest. Just how these guys hit off-speed pitches, right? If you really want to bake it down, how are they doing against off-speed pitches? And Murakami was one of the guys who jumped out with that, too. With best average in the field, obviously that doesn't matter as much here. But Schwarber with 5 home runs off-speed pitches so far this season. You got a bunch of these guys tied with 3, Murakami being one of them. He was one that jumped out to me.
What shocked me the most in the data is Jack Caglione. And Jack Caglione right now is 6-1 when I looked at this last night. Jack Caglione had the highest average exit velocity, 107.7, and he's sitting there at 27.6 with the launch angle, and he's number 1 in distance at 402 average distance. I think the youth factor also plays a role. And when I was on with Mike Somich yesterday, he had a great breakdown of Jack Caglione where he said he also is on a last-place team, 20 games under 500. This is all he's playing for this year.
This is the Super Bowl. Yeah, this is it.
This is his moment to burst on the scene. His father is also throwing in BP. And as a young guy, it wasn't that long ago his dad was throwing in BP at random fields across America. You know what I mean? So there's a level there that makes me intrigued by Jack Caglione as well. So as of now, Murakami's locked in. I also like Murakami and Schwarber as the finalists at 12-1. Longest home run, Caglione, I bet at plus 450. And most first-round homers, Schwarber at 3.5-1. Feels like I should be taking Caglione or Schwarber as my second play here, but we'll see if I ultimately get there. Murakami is my favorite play, and my favorite plays in the NFL, by the way, on the VSiN NFL Betting Guide, which is out right now. I can't endorse Will Hill's write-up on Coach of the Year enough, 40-1. Find out who that is. VSiN.com/subscribe. Get the NFL Betting Guide today. Full access to VSiN Pro, $175 for all the information. VSiN.com/subscribe. He's Kelley Bydlon. I'm Dustin Swedelson. When we return, they're daring us to take Scotty at the British Open. Do we do it? Wes Reynolds breaks it down next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It's a numbers game. Dustin Swedelson filling in for Gil Alexander all week here on the program. Appreciate you hanging out with us on Sirius XM channel 158, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, and radio affiliates across the United States of God Bless America, as usual. Riding shotgun with Kelley Bydlon.
And Canada, Game Plus, shout out.
Oh, look at that. I didn't know I was
You're up in Canada too, buddy.
I am multicultural here.
Yeah, there you go. I guess, yeah. Sure, that works.
I guess, yeah.
Sure.
Well, they don't like when we influence them too much.
No, they did not.
They took our soccer coach. It's no big deal. I think you got American controlling that. We have the Stanley Cup. I'm not making any friends north of the border these days.
That stuff's
we won
not
the
really
gold medal in hockey.
Yeah, that stuff's not really making any sense, huh?
No, we're better at the one thing you care about. You better either change your priorities or get better at those sports.
Have our soccer coach though. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's also like a wild thing to outsource in the world of tariffs that we're living in. The thing that you want to export from America is soccer coaches.
Exactly.
Like when I think of the things that I would take from this society, that's probably bottom tier.
It's really far down there.
Yeah, like Look, he did a good job with Canada, and I love his arrogance, how he never wants to come back. But it's not something we do very well.
Yeah, no.
That's all.
No.
That's all. All right. One thing we do well is handicap golf here on the network, and I get to be joined by two of the best to do it. They are the co-hosts of the Long Shots podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And joining us now is Kelley's co-host there, Wes Reynolds, VSiN writer. Check out his weekly articles breaking down the events at Wes Reynolds 1 on X is where you can find him. Let's look back, my friend, before we look ahead. And thanks for doing this today. Tom Kim with the win, 60-1 at the Scottish Open. What jumps out to you by the performance from a 24-year-old that when he's on, he's really on right now?
Well, first of all, we should have been playing the song from South Park, "Blame Canada," in that little intro here to the segment as kind of the background. But yeah, with Tom Kim and golf futures betting is all about timing. And I, of course, had horrible timing because I bet him a couple times this year, and he's, went 2.5 years without winning, but he had been getting consistent finishes. So, of course, I don't use him at the Scottish Open at Renaissance last week, and he wins by 2 shots. But, striped it, absolutely striped it. His approach shots were terrific. He kept it in good spots of the fairway where it's not just simply hitting the fairway, it's the accuracy where you need to control the trajectory and, go into kind of those firmish greens over there in Scotland. And he did a great job and kind of emerged from the pack over the weekend. So I understand why people like him this week. I never want to go too much into that, though, because that course is like less of a pure links than this week will be at Royal Birkdale, which is kind of one of the regular ones in the Rhoda. So it's a little bit different. And I think the greens actually are going to be a little bit faster than you typically see at most Open Championships.
Yeah, Wes, obviously we'll have our full long shots breakdowns throughout the week here. We'll be doing podcast this afternoon and then also tomorrow in our regular time slot for everybody who's out there regularly who listens. Want to start with right there with you, though. We'll go into detail on the course and everything that everybody needs to know on the podcast, but just kind of the highlights. We get in the Open Rhoda, there is very, very different looking links courses that you can play on. What jumps out to you and that everybody just needs to know off the top about Birkdale?
This is probably one of the more fair ones, Kelley, in the fact that, if you want to call it an outlier, you certainly can. Yeah. But like some of these places you get like really weird bounces, because the terrain is totally different. Carnoustie is just like a punishing course where, it plays a little bit more like a US Open where it's like, okay, you take your medicine and you make par. I think that this is a pretty straightforward course. You have the wind. Obviously, it's exposed because it's links, so it's more of an open course. And I don't think it's as random, I guess, as you would see some of the other Open Championships in the past. So kind of straightforward. I think, like, if you're doing any stat modeling this week, you may not need to go all that knee deep in the weeds necessarily here. It might be a lot of the basic categories, approach, good drives, things like that. And that's what you're going to want to use this week, I think. So Birkdale, pretty straightforward course. It certainly can be scoreable if the weather is going to comply, but not a lot of weird, like, funky bounces on your approaches or on your tee shots here. So it's basically just, you hit well, you hit it straight, and you hit it as long as you can. You don't have to be super long, but hit it straight and hit it accurate, and you're going to get rewarded.
Wes Reynolds is our guest. Podcast is Long Shots, available wherever you get your podcast, breaking down golf every week. Kelley joins him. Matt Brown joins him on the show as well every single week. And looking at the odds this week, Wes, where I'm sure this is going to be a hot topic for you guys, Scottie Scheffler is 6-1. That is certainly a more palatable price than you normally get from the best golfer in the world. I looked at it and I said, they're daring me. They want me to take it, which always is a dangerous game to play with the book. What do you think of the number posted 6-1 on Scheffler to win this thing?
I think it's probably fair, Dustin, because of the fact that he hasn't won in several months. Now, he hasn't been bad. Actually, last week at Renaissance was the first time he had missed the cut since I think like 4 years. Yep. Now, keep in mind, these are no-cut events, but that's still really impressive to be that consistent. And even on your off weeks, finish like top 25. So you're seeing it even drift a little bit further. I'm just kind of perusing around.
Shop around
the
for
market.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And I've seen some 750 actually out there, which, and I thought if Rory would have won last week, and he certainly made a run on Sunday after Saturday went awry for him. If Rory would have won, I thought you would have had co-favorites. I see like a 750 at BetMGM on Scottie and an 850 on Rory. And Rory, of course, has not been playing a lot this year. He's been taking more weeks off, and he says it's working out for him. But he's been skipping some of these events and maybe focusing just more on the majors because I think he knows that that's what his legacy is now that he won the career Grand Slam. So you have the two big guns at the top, the defending Open champion Scheffler and McIlroy, and then you get that drop-off where you get kind of that second group of Fleetwood and Fitzpatrick and Jon Rahm and the like. So I think it's fair, the adjustment on Scottie here a little bit, because he's been good, but he hadn't quite been the elite good he's been the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. The Scheffler number and outright betting with Scheffler has been a big time topic over the past couple months, and rightfully so. And there's a trickle down effect here, right? Right, Wes? I mean, we're talking about, you compared him to Rory, but you look at the rest of the board. The one that's jumping out to me, Jon Rahm shop around on DraftKings 16-1, MGM he's 22-1. I mean, the last time we've seen Jon Rahm in the mid-20s has been quite a while. Is there anybody? We're going to do our normal course research, stat research, put together our models. We'll run that stuff. I think last major of the year, I texted you this yesterday. Last major of the year, there's a couple guys I've just kind of got in mind that have done well for me this year, are peaking right now. I think I'm going to bet. Probably, and I'm looking at Matt Fitzpatrick, Chris Goddard. Let's see where these guys' numbers land at. But is there anybody on this board, whether it's a Scheffler, whether it's a Rahm, whether it's a Tommy Fleetwood? I'll leave it open-ended. You can pick whoever you want. Is there someone that you're saying, I'm going to wait and see where this price gets out to, because if it hits X number, it's a bet on for me?
Yeah, and Kelley, by the way, what you mentioned there, I think is actually a good strategy that I wish I would, kind of follow a little bit more, because it's like sometimes the guys that you bet, and if they don't get there right away, it's like, okay, you love them and leave them. And that's like what I did with Tom Kim last week. And I'm certainly having a little bit of remorse for that. But Colin Morikawa, to me, if this drifts a little bit more, because it does remind me a little bit of Spieth when he won here in 2017 at Birkdale. They're top 10. He's a top 10 player in the world. Won earlier in the year, contended in his last start, did not play the Scottish last week. And I believe the last 4 winners, by the way, short-term trend here, have won the Open the following week that played the Scottish. But that's not like a really long-term trend. Also at Royal St. George, he won just like, Spieth contended. So that could be a guy that I think you look at here, because we've kind of been waiting for him to win like another big one. He had the injury, and then they had a baby in late May, he and his wife. So, you've kind of been waiting for him to emerge, and he's played consistently well. Like, he kind of lurked there at the U.S. Open, even though he wasn't really right there. So Collin Morikawa, you're seeing drift up. Cameron Young has kind of cooled off from his hot pace, and now you're seeing some 35-1 on him. This is a guy that won the Players. This is a guy that won the Miami Championship down at Doral in a signature event. So you're kind of seeing a little bit of drifts there. One guy I was looking for was Sam Burns, but he may be a withdrawal because they have a baby due. So that's something that you want to, try to,
see on your radar.
Go down every crevice to find the information that you can there. But those are the guys in the mid-range that kind of stood out to me.
Wes, 20 seconds, home run derbies tonight. It's a dart throw. It's an educated dart throw. Who would you put your money on?
I want my guy, Kyle Schwarber, my fellow Indiana Hoosier, but I think it's going to be Junior Caminero, who has experience last year from the Tampa Rays, second, third choice on the board. Patient hitter, and you got to be patient now in this home run derby, by the way. This isn't just, okay, get as many hacks as you can in a 2-minute clock. So I think you get 20 the first round, 15 the second. I may be off on the numbers, but they changed the format. But Tampa Bay Rays, if you watch them, they're about the most patient hitters in the league. They will take plenty of pitches, so maybe Caminero, the home run hitter, will follow suit.
He's Wes Reynolds. Read him, vsin.com, with the weekly article breaking down the Open this week.
On a numbers game, the right data changes everything, and the data behind Shopify is hard to argue with. Millions of businesses worldwide run on it, including our own VSiN store. When we launched, Shopify's templates and AI tools got us live fast. Professional looking from day one. No tech background needed. Shopify Checkout converts more customers and makes it easy for returning fans to come back and buy again in a single click. Shopify's built-in AI assistant Sidekick is there whenever you need help, building, troubleshooting, or just figuring out your next move. Check out what we built at vsin.com/store. Then go build something of your own. All you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. That's shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It's kind of a logistics game behind the scenes here in between the breaks. People don't know what goes on between Kelley, myself, Danny, our producer on a numbers game. I'm Dustin Swedelson. I am not Gil Alexander. You know that because I didn't lead with Wimbledon this hour.
Yeah. Well, you kind of did at the beginning of the show, though.
I tried. Dude, I tried. I got to tell you, 41 years old, I'm kind of set in my ways. And there's just certain things where if they're a blind spot in your life for so long where you just don't care, it is very hard at 41 to care. However, I would say the opposite's happening with soccer because I'm kind of low-key into soccer.
Oh, yeah,
The question is, does it continue? Will I care every 4 years? Or will I want to find a Premier League team, put out this post. People were telling me all these different teams to root for. I think because they wanted to torture me. They wanted me to find the New York Mets of the Premier League and just stuff her in that sport as well. But
that was Arsenal, right? That was Arsenal till this year.
People are saying Tottenham is the team.
Yeah,
now for
they're
me.
up there too.
But here's the problem: I didn't factor in that we're on the West Coast and the Premier League would be at like 3-4 in the morning.
They have some later starts,
so we'll see. I want to find a team to root for. I want to care about soccer.
I think it's cute that you want to care. I think it's cute that you're trying.
You know what? That's set. I want the effort for I'm willing to be open-minded. Now, if the sport ends up stinking, that's not on me. That's on the sport. And then it confirms why I wasn't a fan to begin with.
Yeah, Gil always laughs about the random amount of soccer knowledge that I have. And I'll get into I get into the Champions League. I like that. I'll follow Premier League lightly, but very lightly, because as you brought up, it is very early in the morning when most of those games are played. But the one that cracks me, I can't get over, Dustin, is that, and maybe it's just because we've been working in sports media now for a long time, but it's we're really going to freak out. Every 4 years, we're going to freak out about how the USA team does.
Well, here's my hot take. One, I went on with Stormy.
What's changing? It's not changing, and we always complain about the same things afterward.
Dude, I said this to Stormy when I filled in for JVT at the beginning of the event. It was like a couple days before the World Cup began. I said, get ready to be disappointed. She's like, oh, come on, that's no fun. I go, I know how this goes. You're all going to say it's going to be different, then it's going to be the same. I'm going to say I was wrong despite the results looking like I was right. I think it was a success for Team USA. I think we made strides. I think the country cares a little bit more. There was a little bit of a oomph. There was a little bit of energy around what they are. We see the potential. It didn't end how we wanted it to, but I do think that they'll pick up off where they left off here, and they could be better next time. But they are, once again, and we say this every time, they're at a pivotal point in their existence on the planet because only one team can win this event. And if you go back and look in history, England's won one. You know what I mean? And it was a long time ago. Was it 1930 for England?
They've been waiting a bit.
They've been waiting to bring it back home. So we have a long way to get there. I do think we're making progress, and I think the hype behind it being on our turf this past year,
been awesome.
It's going to pick up now. We're going to get a few more of the better athletes playing soccer.
I just think it's the hold two thoughts thing, right? Like I am never going to question the passion of American sports fans when it comes to anything. We go nuts about hot dog eating contests. Like it is amazing.
Yeah, but we're good at gluttony.
So this is what I'm talking about. We just got to be more aware of what are we actually great at and what's achievable. And we're fighting uphill here. Every time we are fighting uphill when we're talking soccer.
We are good at fighting on social media. We get tweets at Dustin Swedelson, at Kelley Bydlon, at VSiN Live. Our guy Mike Montesano writes in, is Dustin Swedelson the Ben Zobrist, the VSiN host, jack of all trades?
Ooh.
So I was a big utility guy growing up. I was a big fan of utility baseball players. Shane Halter was one. Jose Kendo was a very famous one that people were into. My number one utility guy is my favorite player of all time. He's the reason I wore number 47 is Joe McEwing. Joe McEwing is who I compare myself to. He played every position on the field, even played catcher at times when needed early in his career. Our guy Spence, at Spence CC, writes in, I now picture a Larry David type encounter at Ellis Island with Dustin's relatives, who hopefully looked like Dustin. I'm son of Swedel. I told the story about how I got the name Swedelson. It's supposed to be Swidgel. The person who came over at Ellis Island couldn't speak English. He just kept saying, I'm Swidgel's son, so Swedelson was born that day. So, all right, next one up here.
That was pretty entertaining.
Reading the tweets. Ray in Texas, your favorite topic, daylight savings time. I grew up in Northwest Kansas in a town that was in Mountain Time Zone. 15 minutes east was Central Time Zone.
Yeah.
Athletic game starts were always confusing, but I did get to celebrate New Year's Eve twice every year, so we had that going for us.
That's a good one.
Jesse Welch chimes in at JWelch31. Love the energy from Dallin Cuff. Much more boisterous this segment compared to the last time he was on. Much more of Waste Management Phoenix Open than a 13th green at the Masters. Was Dallin a little subdued last time?
Oh, we were joking because last week it was the he was in the airport doing the spot from the airport, and he was very confident, as he should be, that he was going to be able to go into the lounge and find a nice quiet area. And he couldn't find a spot, so he had to go in a corner somewhere. And it was a little whispery from Dallin last week.
And then finally, Mandy Davison writes in at _hockey. I remember when Soto won in 2022, he was bet based on him going into a contract year and wanted to max the value. Anyone fit that mold this year? I don't know if anyone's in a contract year here among the participants, but Kelley was spouting off. He was heated talking about Bryce Harper a couple breaks ago. Looking at Bryce Harper, he is the second longest odds on the board, plus 910 for him at Circa, 8-1 at DraftKings, 9.5-1 at FanDuel, 8.5-1 at MGM. Kelley, what was it about Bryce Harper that stood out to you?
It's just I don't know how heated I was, but
heated.
Bryce Harper, if there's anybody on here, we're talking about the motivation for a Jack Caglione, right? Like this is the World Series. This is everything, right? Season's not going anywhere. I don't know. For Bryce Harper, a vet on a good team, is this kind of just, are you showing up? And how hard are you at preparing and practicing ahead of time? I just think there are at different levels, as Bret Boone basically told us, right? Different levels of preparation for each one of these guys. And I think that's going to go along with motivation. I don't know, though. I don't know with Bryce Harper. He just seems, of everybody here that we're talking about, to be the number one guy that would meh about it.
So I think he's a hardo. But I also think if it doesn't go well early, he's one to mail it in. Right? If he gets off to a slow start, I didn't really care anyway. My concern about Harper, and I'm going to sound like such a doofus analyzing it, and he goes on and wins the event, I think his swing is too much effort. Even though he's won a home run derby, but he's getting older. Dino Ebel is his pitching coach for this, or his pitcher for this. He is the Dodgers' third base coach. He also was the guy who threw to Harper when he won back in 2018. Ebel also threw to 2024 winner, Teoscar Hernandez. But here's the concerns. We did the research looking at some of the analytics here. Harper enters this with the lowest average distance on homers, exit velocity, and lower expected home run than I anticipated when we crunched the numbers here. The one thing he has in his favor is he knows the park. And lefties have a little bit more success at Citizens Bank Park. He'll also have the home crowd behind him. But looking at these numbers, launch angle for him, 29. It's not the worst. It's good. The average distance, though, it is second worst on the board behind Ben Rice. And then in terms of exit velocity, 104.4, it's in the bottom group, bottom three of the options you can bet on for tonight's home run derby. I'm locked in on Murakami. I love Murakami 5-1. Murakami over 9.5 first-round homers. I also took Schwarber most first-round homers. Schwarber over 10.5 in the first round at -105. My longest home run play is going to be Jack Caglione at +450. And my finalists, Schwarber and Murakami 12-1. Here's the question. For my second piece, what's the sharper play? The positive EV community is like, what do you mean? You want a positive EV play for the home run derby? That doesn't exist, doofus. But if I already have Schwarber, Murakami 12-1 as the finalist, I don't want to bet Schwarber at such a short price, around 3-1 to win it. I want someone longer on the board. Do I go Caglione at 7-1? Do I do Jordan Walker, who nobody is talking about? And then the other name that initially jumped out to me was Ben Rice, who I can get at 10-1 at FanDuel right now.
Yeah, that was one. I know Danny's all over Ben Rice for this event as well. I think I'm going to be boring, man. I'm going to go Murakami and Schwarber. You and I were talking about Murakami before the show. I think I'm going there, and then it is. How do you pass on Kyle Schwarber? It's just tough.
It's so hard. He is built for this event. Like when you think about everything that goes into it, needing to generate power off of a slow pitch. I think people assume it's easier for them to hit home runs today. No, they have to do more work. You do less work on a fast pitch, but it's also about reaction. The danger of tonight is the thinking. Because, look, I hate to be the fat guy up here who talks to you about my athletic prowess as a child. But, look, I played varsity baseball. I could have played JUCO baseball.
Great home runner.
Not to. Well, I was a good power hitter.
That's what I was, too. But I was the same thing. I was the power hitter catcher. Strike out or hit a home run.
I probably hit 450 against guys who threw 80 miles an hour plus growing up, 85. If you threw 90, I would touch you. If you threw 65, I had a lot of trouble. I had a lot of trouble. I just, too much thinking. I'd get in my own head. I think that has to be something you consider here because there's a lot of anticipation each pitch. Who has the mentality for this? That's why I just keep coming back to Schwarber. Yeah. It is so chalky. It is so boring and unfun. But, dude, this is his moment. And when I think about a guy who's going to be so difficult for the Hall of Fame to figure out next year, if he starts stacking together home run derby wins, can he add that to the plaque for the accolades to make his case? I know it doesn't matter, but it does feel like it plays a role.
It's not going to move the needle a lot, but it does a little bit. And shout out to Mark Borcher. I know he's coming on tomorrow. He's going to do his Sabermetric All-Stars with us, I believe, from the first half. He did tease home run derby last week when he was on with us, though. BaseWinner.com. Go over and check out his write-up for the derby tonight.
Love to hear it. All right, final hour of the program is forthcoming. Adam Burke on the baseball second half. Plus, what was his favorite play in the VSiN NFL betting guide?